Let me move my microphone a bit closer. Alright, we're good, and we're going. Okay, now I just get people in. I love doing live streams and I hate them at the same time. They're very difficult to have to manage, but I will try my best to make sure this isn't a total train wreck. So please do bear with as I get everything set up here. Share that. We got someone in here. I don't know who, but thank you anyway. I'll just put that there. Put that. I don't know why the thumbnail hasn't changed on some things. It should have changed by now. Wait, yes, it did change. So, okay, for some reason it's still saying it's upcoming, whereas okay, no, people are coming in. Okay. We're good. Let me just put it in the other places. Let me just notify everyone, because obviously I want to make sure that you guys are all here for this. Obviously, because it's a big day today. The channel has finally reached the 3,000 subscriber goal that we've been building towards for what feels like pretty much an eternity. And we finally made it at long last. But if you could do me a favour, give the stream a little like while I'm getting things set up, you know, just so that it helps with, like, I think it helps getting recommended if, like, things are liked more, apparently, allegedly. So hello Mar Ahmed, Bordak, yeah, and Atomize as well. Yes, 3K, let's go. Thank you. I'm very happy. It hasn't quite fully sunk in yet, because I think we've been building towards that goal for so long that it almost hasn't quite become real in my head yet. And it's not even that big of a goal in that grand scheme of things. It's not even like a double digit or anything. I think it's just because it's eluded me for so long. I'm live now, celebrating 3,000 subscribers. Just making sure the Twitter know as well, because obviously I know a lot of you follow me on Twitter, so I'm gonna make sure those guys know. And where's the other place that I need to let know that I'm here and existing in this current place? Hello Adzinko, how you doing? No, it's not watching Ben 10. I am very sorry. I'm not really, because this is my stream and you can't make me do it. No, I'm just kidding. Right, what was the other thing I needed to do? There was something else, and it's I've forgotten what it is. If someone, no one's gonna know. So I'm just, I'm just gonna go with here. Thank you, Warlocks, man. Alright, first thing I want to do, I'm trying to get like a couple more people in before we properly get into the festivities. But first thing I want to do really is just like, oh yeah, that community tab. I knew I was forgetting something. That's what I was forgetting. How are you all doing anyway? I've been a little bit of a busy bee today. But yeah, we'll get into the proper. Honestly, the number hasn't quite sunken in for me yet. Like, right, okay, community tab. There we go. Boom. All right, that'll do for now on the old promotion segment. Right, yeah, let's get into the festivities. First thing I want to do is just thank everyone who's helped the channel in every way. So that includes obviously anyone who's done any editing for the channel. Obviously Willogs and Adzinko, both here. Force Dalek was another one. Dak Jenny, he's another one, great guy. I want to thank them all for doing that. it really does mean a lot to me that you guys have done that. Now we're only doing a Q&A today. Maybe we'll do a Doctor Who Kahoot another day though. I'm not going to rule that out because I do love Kahoot. Someone should make a Thary's Kahoot. I quite agree. But what was I going to say? Yeah, thank you to all you guys for like helping out this year. It's been, I wouldn't have been able to have much content out as I have this year without them. So if we could just, I don't know, get like a round of applause going for like the editors and like thumbnail creators and anyone who's involved in that way. Logistically, I'm gonna start it. Let's just go. Yep. All right. So yeah, thank you to Willogs, Dr. Jenny, Atzinko, anyone and everyone who's helped in regards to like editing and stuff. Like some of the videos turned out way better than I could have made them. You made news videos that are relatively vanilla, really fun to watch, and I really do thank you guys for helping out, with the channel in every way that you have. I guess secondly, I want to thank all my YouTube friends and colleagues and people who I've done videos with. Obviously, Confused Adipose more recently. Harbour Worms has been a great help, Obviously, a lot of the people, weirdly, who I've gotten on the podcast, everyone who've gotten on the podcast, you've all been fantastic. Want to thank you all. Like, you were all just great. And I couldn't have asked for better guests and collaborators, to be honest. Like, you've all just been absolutely superb. So from the bottom of my heart, thank you for all of you for just being on the podcast or being in videos with me. Like, I've genuinely had some people, and people now that I consider friends, that I idolized for so long. And I think, yeah, that's something that's very weird about when you do stuff on the internet, is that, like, you forget, I guess you just forget, like, how you start out. And, like, even though my streams never do that well, I think it's because I stream in the day. Hopefully we'll pick up a bit. But, like, even now, I'd be pinching myself 2 years ago if I had, like, almost, like, 10 viewers on a live stream, or, like, consistently, or, I had videos reaching thousands of views. I would have, like, said, nah, it won't happen. So, yeah, like, genuinely, thank you all. Obviously, everyone who's helped out has been absolutely fantastic. I have a tendency to focus on the more negative side of, like, the community and the people involved in said community. But, like, I can't deny this community is not also incredibly welcoming as well. Thank you, Pickles Parker Reviews, another great collaborator. He's got a great podcast himself. Go check it out as well. I know it's oh, thank you, man. That means a lot. Like, honestly, it's one of those with this that it kind of, I built up to it for so long, this whole 3K thing, and now that it's finally here, I'm almost just a bit in shock about it. Like, I didn't quite know. I'm still not quite sure how to process it, to be honest, because it's just one of those numbers that I just didn't think I was going to get for the longest time. And now that we've finally done it, I mean, I couldn't be more grateful, obviously. Like, it's been something that I've wanted to get for so long, and now I have. It's just, yeah, it's a wonderful feeling. I'd wonder if you've gotten 3K if we didn't push the Get Thary's to 3K 2020 at the start of your recent videos the past month. Probably not. I think there was a combination of factors. I think that's definitely one of them. I think the whole me doing more collaborations with people, that probably helped. Obviously, Confused Adipose, I think I gained like 18 subscribers just from being on his channel. And in a couple of days, I'm in Harbour Worms' Discord right too, as well. So I think that's been a great help as well. Yeah, there's a lot of things really that I think have contributed to spam his channel link on big YouTubers live streams. I'm not condoning that. I wouldn't want to be a nuisance to anybody. But you know, I mean, if big YouTubers like, you know, find this and they're like, oh, maybe we could have. No, I'm just kidding. Yeah. What was I even saying? Just, you know, there's there's so many cool things coming in 2021. I kind of alluded to it in the other video. Which one was that? I can't remember which one. The Sonic Screwdriver video, which, by the way, I've got out currently. If you didn't see the Sonic Screwdriver video, the wonderful Custom Who Sonics has done us a wonderful Sonic Screwdriver for the channel, which is it's just fantastic. But in that video, I said that, you know, we're getting a new office, new equipment, complete new microphone, webcam. Like, my lighting's going to be so much better. And my content, I'm going to be sticking more to a rigid schedule and a specific style, because I realise that I vary quite a bit with, like, the styles of content that I do. Sometimes I do podcasts, sometimes I do video essays, and the podcast isn't going away or anything. It's just I need to narrow down what makes my videos, you know, sort of tick, I suppose, and making it more consistent for, like, new viewers, so it's a bit more easily bingeable as well, because I realise it might be quite jarring to go from, say you're trying to watch some of my videos in a row, it might be a bit jarring going from a vortex, where it's just my voice, to me as me, and then maybe there's a couple of ones of me as an animated character as well, so consistency in terms of style is something I really want to work on. And I think that hopefully that's going to be something that the new equipment is going to allow for, because to be honest, sometimes the reason I don't want to do facecam content is just because, quite frankly, like, my room's just a mess, and I'd rather, you know, if I'm going to do face videos, I want it to all look somewhat presentable before I turn the camera on, and I won't have that issue in the new office because it's not a bedroom. So it will be designed specifically for this. You know, I'm going to be getting, like, microphone foam to put on the walls, and just everything. We do need to get Cynical to 500 subs. In fact, if none of you are subscribed to Cynical Who, I know that, like, you guys know Cynical Who already, because I've been on her channel a couple of times, and we sort of, you know, had banter with each other, but I'm going to leave a link here. We've got about 11 of you watching as the last time I checked. Do me a favour, just go give Cynical a subscribe. It would, I think, you know, it would really make her sort of Christmas if we could get, like, her a bit closer to 500. And as well, she's been obviously a huge help to me as well. Everyone has, but, like, you know, there are people who I talk to regularly who put up with my nonsense, so I'm going to thank them for that. So I'm just going to put her link in the chat there. So if you guys, if the sort of 10 of you are watching right now aren't subscribed to Cynical Who, please go do that. Like, you can still obviously listen to this while you're doing it, because you can just open it on a new tab or whatever you want to do, but it would be much appreciated if you did. Let's get Willogs to his funny meme number as well. I'm just going to start promoting everyone who's helped me, because I think I'd feel guilty if I didn't, to be honest, and they deserve it. Like, Willogs, if you haven't seen it, he does a great Gmod series where he basically does Doctor Who inside of a game, and it's honestly, like, the amount of creativity he has is just off the charts. So I'm just going to put Willogs in there. I would highly recommend his obviously his series. It's very well written, very much in the style of RTD, or, you know, sort of that sort of era of the show. A lot of the same effects and stuff like that. So yeah, those two, go subscribe to them. Adzinko as well. You guys all know Adzinko already. In fact, Adzinko isn't mod. I'm going to change that real quick, because he literally does stuff for the channel for realsies. So I better change that. How do I do that? There we go. There you go, Adzinka. There's a little moderator badge for you. But yeah. So getting into the whole point of this, really, this whole stream was just to like, for you guys to ask me any questions, Doctor Who related or otherwise, really, that you wanted to ask. Obviously, try and keep it PG. We want to keep this monetized. But you know, if you guys have any questions, then just let me know. And Pickles Parker reviews as well, obviously. So many talented people in this little community we've got going on. It's really wonderful to see. But any questions, drop them at me. I'd like to have a little bit of a talk about Revolution of the Daleks, honestly, because we are only, I think, I want to say like, wait, it was the 15th today, it's 25th in 10 days, which is bonkers. I can't believe that's come around so quick. So it's about 17 days away, the New Year's special. And like, you know, I thought the trailer was alright. Hello Blobfish. How are you doing, my man? I thought the trailer was good. I think I said that at the time. I just did that video. If you haven't seen it, it's called something to the effect of New Scene in Revolution of the Daleks. And that's pretty self-explanatory, really. It's just a video about a new scene in Revolution of the Daleks that they filmed recently. It's probably nothing massive, but with the rumours of, well, not even rumours, I think Mandeep Gill even said it herself, of a big cliffhanger ending, you know, it could be something crazy. And obviously we wouldn't know because it was all filmed indoors. So they could quite easily hide something big. I'm not trying to hype that up or, you know, give you guys any false expectations on that, but I think that that's quite a bit of interesting news. Also, you know, obviously we posted a bit of a Lorraine clip earlier on talking about how Christopher Eccleston doesn't really seem to want to return to the main show. I think the exact word he used was hell would have to freeze over. In order to get him back onto the show proper. And someone said, oh, it's just they didn't want it to degenerate. It's like, no, it's what they were getting at was him coming back in the main show, and he immediately dismissed it, which is fine. That's completely up to him. But I think that, you know, the likelihood, you know, we had a brief spike in the likelihood of him coming back for like a 60th or something like that. With obviously, you know, when he announced that he was doing the audios, a lot of people thought, oh, maybe this is him dipping his toe back in to sort of say, to sort of maybe get him in the show again. But apparently, well, obviously now that's not the case, which again, I'm perfectly content with, because we've still got the audios, so I'm perfectly fine with him not being on TV, at least not anytime soon. But yeah, no, I think it is quite interesting nonetheless, and I do respect the guy's honesty. Like, a lot of actors will go, oh, you never know, and then they just don't. So I think I appreciate just the, you know, the bluntness. It's like, nah, I don't want to, and that's, you know what, that's fine. But what are you guys all saying in the chat? Series 1, 4, 5, and 10 are my favourite. Fair. Series 5 is my favourite, Series 4 is second place, and I think Series 1 is third place if memory serves. Series 10 I'm not as big on. I think that's just because I'm not as big on the Capaldi era in general. As I've always said, the performance is great, it's just the writing for me. IDK, how confused Adipose thinks Whittaker is better than Series 5, like, oh my god. Yeah, any non-Who related content plan? That's a good question. I definitely want to. I think that's something I want to work on next year, because I'll tell you sort of the what's the word I'm looking for? Schedule plan that I've sort of conjured up in my mind for the new year going forwards. I say new year, February, when I get the new place. So Mondays will be the rest of the Whittaker era reviews. So obviously I started with Woman Who Fell to Earth, and I'm going to go all the way up to Nikola Tesla, because those are the episodes that I haven't really talked about in depth yet. So I'm going to be doing those. And rather than being essays, I mean, they'll be structured similarly to The Woman Who Fell to Earth one, to have a sort of element of consistency, but they will be face cam videos, and they will be a little less scripted and rigid as perhaps That Woman Who Fell to Earth one was. Not that That Woman Who Fell to Earth one was bad, I was happy with it, but I just think that for me, and my amount of energy, I feel as though doing face cam videos with like that, I can edit and give you the best reviews possible. I think that's the best approach. I'm basically combining Harbo Worms and Council of Geeks' approach into my own unique sort of style of review. Wednesday will be more discussion type videos, so that'll be where the sort of pitch for the 14th Doctor style videos go, and my more sort of speculative stuff will be on the Wednesdays. And then the Fridays, I'm planning on doing a review of an episode not from this era. We'll probably start with New Who just because it's quicker, and obviously it's less time consuming to consume. But, obviously we could very well go into Classic Who as well, if we ran out of, Doctor Who, new Doctor Who episodes to review. Because obviously that's a very likely chance of happening, because, to be fair, we do have 10 of the series of it, but it might get a bit boring. So that's why I might do some Classic Who on the Friday as well. But in regards to non-Who related content, I think that once the Whittaker stuff has concluded on the Mondays, I'd probably then maybe spice it up, every so often have a non-Who based video, just because there are lots of things that I like to talk about that I don't often get a chance, so I probably will try and factor that in a bit more into the schedule going forward. So I hope that answers your question, Atomize. How are you doing, George? And thank you, man. I really appreciate that. Yeah, 3K, it's nuts. I'm still not quite over it yet. Yeah, Whittaker isn't bad, but Chibnall's writing is bad. Yeah, the difficult thing is I haven't really seen her in anything else to really say, what the quality of her acting is. It could be great, and it's quite sad that we're probably never going to have the opportunity for her to be written not by Chris Chibnall, because genuinely she might be able to be done really well by somebody else. Because I remember Russell T Davies wrote for Matt Smith in the Sarah Jane Adventures, and he did that really well. And then obviously so you have the writers writing for other Doctors, obviously JNT as well. He wrote for Tom Baker's last season before he got his own Doctor on there with Pete Davison. So it's kind of it's a shame, but at the same time, I think I feel more sorry for Whittaker than I did originally. I think I feel a bit sort of what's the word I was looking for? I've just lost my words. Yeah, I blame Chibnall more now than I do Whittaker, because at the end of the day, he's the one who makes all the decisions. Oh yeah, but he produced Tom Baker episodes, despite that not being the Doctor he chose, is what I was getting at. But yeah, you are right. So yeah, it is kind of a case of with this era, I blame him more. And blame sounds bad, but it's kind of at the end of the day, he's the one who makes all the decisions. So if there's a decision if there's a decision you don't like with the show, it's not the actor's fault. Which should be pretty self-explanatory, but it always needs reiterating. That it's not always the actor's fault when these things happen. Hashtag bring back Moffat. See, I don't necessarily agree with that, because I feel as though Moffat did stay on for a bit too long. Personally, for me, I feel as though this is gonna be controversial. I feel like he should have left at like the end of series 7, but that's just me. Pickles Parker says that schedule sounds great. My question is, where do the podcasts fit in? I'm looking forward to seeing all the great content you're making in 2021. Yeah, so the podcast, obviously, it'll still definitely be a fixture because it's like, you know, one of my favourite things that I make. It'll basically just be, you know, whenever I can get a good guest, to be honest, like, and whenever I can film it, and like whenever they're available, because obviously, oh, that's a good point. Do I reveal who the next podcast guest is? Do I reveal that? I mean, I'd probably wait until we got a couple more viewers for that, just because I kind of feel as though, you know, that's a big announcement to have to make, because it is a big guest. But yeah, they will definitely be a prominent fixture of the schedule. They probably will just go in the places where, you know, there's not really a piece of content. So potentially, like, I know Willogs, but it's 3,000 subscribers. I've got to say thank you somehow, haven't I? If Matt did Series 8, Moffat would have probably left then. That would have been the best case scenario for me, to be honest. Would it be for him to have left, kind of, you know, a couple series earlier and left with Smith. Because I feel as though after Smith leaves, I think he runs out of sort of, not ideas, but like steam, I guess is the word for it. Because he tried to breathe new life into it with the darker angle, but I think that sort of got suppressed somewhat, his creative vision, by perhaps the BBC, if not just maybe people who were like, hey, listen, darkness doesn't sell as much toys, make it a bit lighter. Because I've always felt the tonal shift between series 8 and 9 is quite drastic, and I think that would have definitely been influenced by someone at the higher up. Like, it just seems a bit too out of the blue not for it not to be. Congrats, thank you, I really appreciate that. It's yeah, it means a lot. I think Series 10 was good at the end, but the rest of it was kind of boring. Yeah, that's fair enough. I mean, Series 10 is a weird one. Like, some episodes I have fun. I think it was a weird idea for Moffat to do a reboot series, like kind of a reboot sort of series before the big reboot happened. I feel as though he's made his bed, so just lie in it, like make a series that is just off the wall craziness, you know, throw everything at it, and they did to a certain extent. There's some sleep in my eye, with obviously John Sims Master, he came back, that was a big deal, and obviously that main finale was the big thing, and it was to me it's one of the biggest finales of modern Who, specifically because you've got like all the different Cybermen designs coming together, you've got the two different masters coming together, so it did feel to me when I watched it quite grand in scope. Not on the level of something like a Stolen Earth Journey's End type of thing, but certainly more so than perhaps some other finales. But yeah. It was definitely BBC after all the complaints we know they got for Dark Water. Yeah, because there was complaints, wasn't there, about the Cybermen being, like the ashes, ashes and people screaming when they get turned into ashes. Yeah, it's something to do with, like, that and, like, people screaming when they get turned into ashes, something like that. That's what they complained about, I think. Series 10 is really weird, but somehow one of my favourites. Yeah, I've seen a lot of appreciation for Series 10, and you know, power to you guys. Like, it's a solid one. It's not one that I personally is one of my favourites, but that is entirely, in my opinion, it's completely subjective. Like, a lot of people love that series, so I disagree. Series 10 has plenty of episodes which are really enjoyable. The pilot, Thin Ice, Empress of Mars, and episodes like Knock Knock and Oxygen are cracking, but the finale is the best. Thing is, the pilot's quite good. Thin Ice and Empress of Mars are okay. Knock Knock again's okay. Oxygen's good. But yeah, what is your opinion on the Daleks Time Lord Victorious PS2 series? I've only watched the first 2 episodes. It did pick up, I will say, and I do plan on watching the rest because apparently it got better as time went on. So yeah, I'm definitely planning on watching the rest. Also, what is your favourite Dalek within the series? Probably the I think it's the scientific advisor one, the one who looks like an old beaten up Dalek. That's kind of my favourite one because he's all sort of conniving. So that's kind of, yeah, that would be my favourite Dalek in that series. Strategist, there you go. You should play the Doctor Who game, Edge of Time. I would if I had a VR set. Plus, I don't really know the logistics of being trying to play a VR set in a chair. I've never really looked into that. Maybe I should, but I haven't as of yet. So, but yeah, something I definitely consider. Certainly. But they are making one that's not VR, aren't they? Isn't it called Edge of Reality or something? And 10th Doctor's in it again. So yeah, 9th Doctor Adventures reviews when they release next year. As long as I can afford them, yes. When they come out, as long as I can grab them, I will definitely give them a review because I feel as though the 9th Doctor deserves it. He deserves the review time. Surprised they haven't revealed any cover art yet, seeing as all the news about the 9th Doctor audio sort of series that's like slowly been trickling out. Obviously with Chris Eccleston, the image posted recently, and what was the other thing? And obviously the Lorraine interview as well that I posted on the channel. It's not monetized, by the way, because how am I supposed to monetize Lorraine? But you know, you can watch that at your leisure. If you want to. It does reveal some interesting stuff. B&M set reviews. I tried to do the a review of the resolution Dalek, and I struggled a bit with cameras and boxing things with hands. So, I mean, it's not out the realm of possibility. But I would say, if I do figure reviews, it'll sort of be as and when, I suppose. If there's one that I really want to talk about, like, because to be honest, they need to get on doing some Revolution stuff. Like, as I said, I think it was on Twitter. I said I think a remote control new Dalek with like the red and blue lights, that would be a really cool little addition to a remote control Dalek, and obviously just a character options figure of that Dalek as well. Obviously, probably one of them in blue and one of them in red if they wanted to do the different colours. So yeah, that's what I would suggest they do for that. Doctor Who has so much content outside the series. I don't think I've seen 10% of it. I probably haven't either. Hey just popped in to say congratulations on 3K. Well done, Dad. Proud daughter of here. Oh, thank you, Cynical Who. It means a lot, honestly. I literally told everyone as the stream was starting to go sub to you, and, you know, if you don't believe me, I mean, fair enough, but, like, Willogs can attest that I did say that. So, yeah, if you haven't subscribed to Cynical Who, just do it. Just get them there. But, yeah, thank you for popping in, Cynical Who. And thank you for all your support this year. It's meant a lot. But what else? So, yeah, do it, subscribe it. So, in terms of Revolution of the Daleks, I want to briefly cover how I'm going to intend on covering that. I've got an itchy nose, Jesus Christ. So, obviously, in the new year, I'm away, as in New Year's Day, I'm away. I'll try and record it. So I'll try and record a sort of reaction of sorts from where I'll be for New Year's. If that fails, it might just mean that there's a couple of days without a reaction, which will probably mean that the views go down the toilet, but that's fine. You know, hopefully I can get something out on the actual day. so that I'm not completely left high and dry on that. But you know, we'll have to wait and see. Congrats. I must admit, I've said a few things about you in the past. Those were justified. You're no NMD channel, so I apologise for that. Odyssey Studios, mate, that's fine. Back, you know, in 2018, I was a bit of a Not My Doctor channel. I'm not going to even lie. But, you know, now I like to think I've evolved beyond just, this is bad, you know, and I'm trying to, like, give things a fair shake. Like, I genuinely did enjoy the Revolution of the Daleks trailer, and I just hope that trailer is indicative of the final product that we get. I mean, if it's not, then I'll be sure to say so, but I mean, hopefully. I never go into Doctor Who hoping for it to be bad, because I think that when you do that, like, you just end up, I don't know, just feeling, like, sad, and I'd never want to do that deliberately. So I feel as though, yeah, I'm hoping for the best. There's some really weird stuff going on in the chat right now that I don't even want to even address. Thank you, Monsk. I could never say your name, but I was on your stream the other day. That was a lot of fun. Yeah, thank you, man. I really appreciate that. So yeah, it's kind of just with Revolution. It's like I quite like the fact that we're getting some of the characters back. Oh yeah, oh I get you. I must admit, I must admit, even I criticised the new era, which is the healthy thing to do. Yeah, I agree. I think the thing that a lot of people I'm not saying don't understand, but I think with the sort of popularization of the term "Not My Doctor" to describe toxic fans, I think there is a tendency to lump everyone who doesn't like the current stuff in with that umbrella term, and that's just not really the case. Because obviously, you know, I like to think that I'm not my Doctor, because like I do criticisms that I think make sense theoretically, and if they don't, then I mean I'm sure you guys will tell me when they don't. But like I feel as though, because there are so many people who will just shout at it and just shout and be, you know, whip up hate just for the sake of whipping it up and say things that aren't even true just to like get a reaction out of people, I think then you do end up when you get lumped in with them, I guess, and it's just one of those things. What's your second favourite Doctor? Probably Tom Baker, because I think last time I ranked them, Paul McGann was third, Tom Baker was second, and Matt Smith was first. Although I will say, Patrick Troughton, like, he could be a dark horse and maybe take the spot away from Tom Baker, because I don't know, there's something just always charming about Patrick Troughton in the role. So I hope that answers your question. Let's go animate. Yeah, I agree with that. But really, my definition of Not My Doctor are people who went on a right tiff when a female Doctor was cast, because because was cast and have been like that since because of the law. Yeah, the thing is, like, even Sydney Newman liked the idea of a female Doctor, so when they say it portrays the original vision, it doesn't really, because the original guy who made the show and the concept for the show kind of liked the idea of one, so it's not really something, and it was going to happen eventually as well, so that was never the thing that sort of switched me off to it. I guess like when she was announced, it was perfectly reasonable to be skeptical, because we are with every new Doctor, like, and that's fine. But I think that still thinking that that's just wrong, I think that's kind of, you know, I think you just need to, like, move on eventually. Like, it was 2017 she was announced, we're now in 2020, almost 2021, like, at a certain point you just gotta let it go, you know? Oh, hey GJ Steve, how you doing? How isn't it David Tennant? David Tennant, he's kind of overrated. He's kind of mid-tier for me, honestly. Like, and you know what? I think he's great. but like, I do think because a lot of people grew up with him as the Doctor, there is that kind of not rose tinted glasses, because the stories he is in is genuinely good, but I think people do have a tendency to just over praise him a bit too much. Where's 9 in your ranking? I believe top 5. I think maybe 6th, but that could change with the new audios coming out as well. I'm worried for you, Harry's. What if you start touring the turkey at Christmas dinner? Good point, you know. I mean, that turkey, it's not even going to know what hit it when I get there. It's not even going to know. What do you think of Matt Smith then? I just think that he's a bit more nuanced. He's got a bit more of the alien element that I like to see in the Doctor, whereas the David Tennant Doctor is a bit more human in nature. That's almost the name of an episode. I also feel as though I prefer it when the Doctor doesn't really have a romantic element to them, and the 10th Doctor is like probably the most romantic out of all of them. So I would say that's a bit of a distractor for me as well. I like the fact that he's sort of an old man in a young man's body. I've always liked that. I thought that was a really clever concept. So yeah, that's why 11's my favourite. Zinko has Blue Wrench. Yeah, cynical because he does things that are useful. No, I'm joking. TBH Series 11, I agree. Jodie was not great, but she was pretty good for someone who'd never seen the show. However, Series 12, she's on fire, in my opinion. Like a great improvement on Series 11, 13. I definitely think she's improved. I'll say that. I wouldn't call the improvements massive. I think what will make or break her is seeing her with just one companion. Because I think it is difficult for her to stand out when it's so crowded in there and you've got like all of these different companions and characters and they're all vying for screen time. I think it might really benefit her to have her be, just with one, like how most Doctor companion dynamics work in sort of the new era at least. Obviously there are exceptions and other characters pop in, but like generally they focus initially on one Doctor and companion dynamic and then maybe mix more people in. Like for example, obviously originally you had the 9th Doctor and Rose, and then Mickey gets mixed in, and obviously with 11 you had 11 and Amy, and then Rory gets implemented more, and then maybe River will come in a couple of times. So I feel as though it's kind of like, yeah, so I think the problem was they tried to introduce too many companions too quickly, and they kind of regretted it in the end, in a way, I think. So the current Doctor Who has ruined. So the current Doctor we got has ruined Doctor Who for me. How have you liked her? She doesn't seem to be embracing it all. Instead, like other Doctors do. She's. I hate to say that she's bottom of my list, but she is. I just think she's kind of, I guess, just generic is the best way I can describe it. Like, she does stuff fine, but just, yeah, like, if I had to rank the Doctor though, Bordak, like specifically that Doctor, I'd probably like have to put her at bottom, just for that reason. Like, there's nothing really to her that I can say that separates her from many of the others. So for that reason, yeah, she is at the bottom. I've come to the conclusion where that the 9th Doctor is the best Doctor. I mean, 8 will always be my favourite, but Christopher Eccleston is on another level. Fair, cynical, absolutely fair. Like, Christopher Eccleston, he is absolutely fantastic. I think that, like, there'll always be a part of us that, like, want to see more Eccleston, which is why I think it did come as a disappointment to some when he said on Lorraine this morning that he won't be returning to the show, really, anytime soon. But we're getting the audios, so, I mean, you know, it's you lose one thing, you gain another. It's one of those things. I would like to point out that most doctors grew up watching the show and were mega fans. Jodie was fresh the whole show. Yeah, that is true. And apparently she did sneak away and do research even when Chibnall told her not to. So, I mean, she definitely did want to do the research. I think she was advised against it, though, by Chibnall. I could be wrong in that. I very often am. But a benefit of, like, next year is that you won't hear any background noise anymore because I'll be in another room. So that's a nice little bonus to the situation, I suppose. I cannot wait for the 100th anniversary when the 9th Doctor is. I mean, yeah, it wouldn't be surprising to me if he, like, survived and then just, like, just finally came back. It's like, I'm here. I'm a bit late to the party, I know, but I'm coming. It'd be kind of a shame if we didn't get him in the 60th, though, because realistically, I feel like that would be the last proper opportunity we would have to get him in it. I think she got told to watch an episode from each Doctor, but she turned them off during the really horrible episode because she wanted to do her own thing. Okay, interesting. I didn't actually know that. If that was the case, fair enough. You know, and at the end of the day, if you don't like a Doctor, there's always going to be another one in a couple of years anyway. That's like the beauty of the show. I wasn't a big Capaldi fan for the majority of his run. Again, it was nothing to do with the performance. I think the writing just let it down. But then that's the beauty of it. You'll always get a new Doctor that comes along. And like Ruth, for me, I really enjoy Ruth. I want to see more of Ruth. I like her Doctor. And I think she proved to me completely and utterly that, like, the gender thing doesn't even matter. Like, she just radiates such Doctor energy, and she's just such a presence that I feel as though it's, you know, I really gravitate towards her. Are you going to get the 9th Doctor Big Finish all years? Again, provided I have the money, yes. But again, it's all down to the old dollar or pound in my case. Yeah, Series 11 wasn't bad. Wasn't allowed to watch any of it because Chibnall wanted to take fresh. However, afterwards, she's been delving in. That might explain the improvement, the slight improvement in Series 12 as well. There is this message to all NMDs. Just wait a few years. Yeah, pretty much. I don't really get what this whole thing is like, well, the show has got to be cancelled. It's like, why would you want the show to be cancelled? Surely the goal is to have it be better, not cancelled. So yeah, I don't really get that. Joe Martin was bloody fantastic. Yeah, I agree. It's always weird to me that, like, she felt more like the Doctor to me in, like, 5 minutes than Jodie has at all. And I almost feel as though that almost did Jodie a disservice in a way. Because, you know, she's obviously the main Doctor, so to have this Doctor come in that answers a lot of the criticisms of the Whittaker Doctor and even openly criticises the Doctor in the episode and says a lot of things that I think some of the fans had been thinking. A weird move, honestly. Weird move. There is this message to all MDs. Just watch the live streams, you fools. Yeah. Warlogs. Oh, I'm gonna get told off for that. Who cares? So did Chibnall write the Roof Doctor, or was it someone else? Because if it was, then why does he not write 13 like that? I agree, and yes, he did. The episode was written predominantly by Vinay Patel, and it was revealed recently that Ruth was only, like, recently implemented. And it was, I think she's like a Chibnall invention. Because I know that I think Vinay and Chibnall co-wrote that to a certain extent, I think, because of all the plot arc stuff. To what element of involvement Chibnall had in it, I'm not 100% sure, but I know he was involved to a certain extent. Listen, fool, if a show I've liked for many, many years has a low point, then they should just scrap the entire thing and all the lore we've worked for. Yeah, I just don't get it. Like, you know what, I don't like the Timeless Shard thing either, but, like, at the end of the day, it's probably either going to get explained away in the next couple of series or retconned, so is it worth getting that emotional about? I mean, I don't really like it, and I still don't, but, you know, I think some people's reaction to it have just been way over the top, like, way further than I would ever go, And that kind of applies to the entire era as well. Like, I think some people's reactions, they just take it too far. But then equally, you know, you've got people who like will come along and say that everything's perfect, and if you don't agree with that sentiment, then you're evil. And I think that's equally as bad of an issue as well, to be honest. Like, I feel as though everyone should be able to criticize whatever and take whatever they want away from things. You know, so I think it's, at the end of the day, it's a double-edged sword. You're never going to please everyone. Like, even if I was showrunner, you know, there would be a section of people calling me the worst thing to happen since, like, I don't know, the lockdown. So you're never going to please everyone. Since you've hit 3,000 subscribers, does this mean we get 3,000 pings? Thank you. As Willongs has said, don't give me ideas. I don't hate it, says Steve Odie. That's fair enough. That is absolutely fair enough. I think it's, yeah, you know, like, I've mellowed on it over time, and there were parts of Series 12 where I was kind of getting into it a little bit, but I feel as though, I mean, you know, Series 13 may well be the series that they just go to town on, and they just try absolutely everything, and it just clicks. And, you know, I'm willing to give them a chance. My only issue is when people say things like, oh, I'm sure Yaz will get development next series. It's like, how many years can you say that before you have to start being like, okay, this should have happened earlier? You know what I mean? To be honest, some of these NMD folk, I actually don't think they're long-term fans. I honestly think people like insert name, for example, with that video on Sontarans. Yeah, like, some of them, they just think of the most ridiculous titles and rumours and just put them in videos for views. And, like, I'm not even going to mince words with that. That's what they do. And, like, I think that, you know, I could very easily make rumours saying that Jodie's leaving every series. But in the end, what would be the point? Because you end up just being disappointed regardless. So I don't see the point in getting everyone excited for something. Not excited, but like everyone riled up and sort of, what, you know, telling them something's going to happen and getting them interested in that thing happening. And then it just doesn't, like, what's the point? You're just setting people up for disappointment. I don't get it. Even Whovians know that Sontarans have no... Even every Whovian knows that Sontarans have no gender. Yeah, it's just kind of silly rumours that they're being put together, and they're just shouting them as loud as possible so that we all have to acknowledge them. And, you know, like, at the end of the day, I used to be one of those people who bought into, like, these really sus dodgy rumours that, like, came from really suspicious places. But now I've sort of, whenever I cover a bit of news, I tend to pick places that actually have some sort of credibility to them, i.e., you know, like official news sites or cast members or some stuff like that. Or, you know, I'll do like speculative stuff where I'm like, maybe this would happen. I don't like really state anything as a fact in like titles and stuff. I'll always put like a little question mark to it, which some don't, and I think that's kind of an issue. But you know. Times the things by 3k daily, not just 3k pings. Is Jack confirmed for next series? He's confirmed for Revolution of the Daleks. I don't know about the next series though. I'll give you a range. I don't think he's in the next series. To be honest, I know a lot of people said it would be cool to have him as part of the TARDIS team, but to me, I feel as though we need to have focus on the new characters rather than focusing on characters from, you know, the previous eras. Like, it works in isolation and like one-offs and stuff. Like, that's why Sarah Jane works in like School Reunion. She's in it once, and then they give her a spin-off show, and then, you know, she comes back in the finale, and that's it. Like, that works fine because it's not reliant on old stuff. But something someone pointed out to me is that it's been as long as since we've seen Captain Jack, because obviously last time we saw him was 2009, and it's now 2020 or nearly 2021. It's been about as long as time as we've seen Jack as it would be for new viewers in 2005 had seen Ace. So to give you some context, like, that's quite a long time without people having seen that character. So there is a risk when you do that too much that you'll alienate the new people that you get on board of the show and of the program. Congrats on reaching such a milestone, mate. Been loving your videos recently. Thank you, the Raging Time Lord. I like that name, by the way. I really appreciate it. Hot take, Bill is the best Moffat era companion. I disagree. I think Amy is, but I do like Bill. She's way better than Clara, let's put it that way. Oh no, I love Ace, don't get me wrong, but what I'm trying to say is, imagine if they brought back Ace in Series 1. I think that would have alienated a lot of people. So, and comparatively, that's where we are now. Where it's like, Captain Jack is about, it's been about as long as we've seen him as we would have Ace in 2005, if that makes sense. So, I think we just need to take that into account when we say, oh, this person should come back, or this person, because the new viewers aren't going to have a clue who that is. You know, they're not going to have any idea. So it's, I think that's a very fine line to have to tread, when you have to go, obviously, you know, when you have to, like, appease old fans while simultaneously bringing in new fans. I think RTD did it well, as I said. He brought back the occasional old character, but, like, generally, it was all his own characters. Like, Sarah Jane was actually the only one that I can remember from being in the main show. After Matt Smith, what's your favourite era? I would say the RTD era is my favourite era overall. I just like Matt Smith's first era. Like, so Matt's my favourite Doctor, but if you had to ask me what my favourite, like, sort of era of the franchise is as a whole, it would be the RTD one, just because quality. Even though David Tennant's not my favourite Doctor, I can't deny the sheer quality of the stories in that era of the show. So yeah, probably that one. I've been getting more into the 7th Doctor era recently in terms of Classic Who. Hot take, Boss Baby is the best companion in the Hans Zimmer era. And Zinko doing his Boss Baby stuff there. You gotta rate it. But you know, what were we even talking about? Yeah, companions. So it's like, I think, I personally wouldn't want Jack to be a mainstay, but, you know, we just have to wait to see on that. Like, I feel as though the focus should be on the new characters, is what I'm trying to say. And they're not even new characters anymore, because, like, you know, we've had Yaz and you know, the current team since 2018. And, like, by the time Resolution airs, it'll be 2021. So they're not even new characters anymore, but it almost feels like they are in some aspects, because it feels like we've had quite little of them actually around, you know? So it's going to be an interesting thing to see how they go about it. But, like, you know, we'll have to wait and see on that. But yeah, I've been getting into the 7th Doctor era quite a bit. I think, you know, there's a sort of, I think, refinement of all the stuff that worked before in that era. And I think it really starts to get its act together before it gets cancelled, which is a real shame. Yeah, because Fenric is good. I'm personally a big Happiness Patrol fan. Obviously Remembrance as well, goes without saying. And I know that Cynical, if she's still here, she's a big Sylvester fan as well. The Troughton era is very solid as well, if a bit repetitive, you know, with the Base Under Siege thing. So yeah, the thing is, there's a lot of eras of the franchise I do like. It's just that I suppose I just don't talk about them as much, but that's something I'm hoping to rectify next year, for sure. So yeah, in terms of what was the other thing, 60th anniversary, I want to talk about the 60th anniversary briefly. I want to talk about which Doctors I feel as though have got a good chance of coming back, now that we know that the 9th Doctor's kind of out of the picture. Oh, actually, that's a good question first. What are your predictions for the ratings of Revolution? Good question. I've got an idea of it. You know, I've got an idea of it. Oh god, super chat. Thank you, Shallow Pup, man. Appreciate that. I never thought I'd see the day, because you really suck at this. I love your compliments, man. They're so great. But good job, son. I am proud of you. Get good. I will. Next year's going to be a better year, because I'm going to have, like, new equipment and shizzle. But, you know, thank you for the £5. Appreciate it. And that is a thing that we can all remind ourselves, that donations are open. No, I'm joking. But yeah, what are we talking about? June figures for Revolution. I'm going to guess about 4 million, because I think Timeless Children got about 4.38 ? So I feel as though something like that is probably... I mean, that's just a lie. You know, my name's not Channel Perp. What are you talking about? It's just a lie. 7 is the second best Doctor. I do like 7. It baffles me, because they did a Radio Times poll a while back, didn't they? Where they sort of ranked the Doctors. You know, and it baffled me that... donates my 50p from thumbnails back. It was more than 50p, you can't deny it. And plus your mum took it away from you, didn't she? So it's like, it's not as if like it was going anywhere. I'm joking, Warlocks, but yeah, it baffles me that like 7 gets like so overlooked in those like poll things. I guess it's just because he's an 80s one. Like the 80s is kind of when people have the least nostalgia for. So I guess, yeah, it kind of makes sense, but it kind of sucks. Thoughts on that guy? Look, all I'll say on that person is that yes, I have said stuff, and yes, I think he has said stuff that is wrong. But at the end of the day, look, I can't stop him. You know, as much as I think that what he says is wrong, I can't, really do anything. But I at the same time, I think that it is important to highlight that in some instances. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I think in the end, just be mindful of what you say online, and this just goes for everyone. Like, what you say online stays there permanently. So I think when people say such flippant and frivolous things, and things that, you know, they think are just harmless and inoffensive, to someone else can actually be really offensive and harmful. So all I'm going to say is just think about what you say before you say it. That's my little thought on that, is all I'm going to say. Christopher Eccleston was the greatest Doctor ever. Yeah, we're getting a lot of Christopher Eccleston love today, which, you know, I'm down for. Christopher Eccleston's great. I do wish we'd have had another series, though. I feel like I think Series 2 would have benefited from his inclusion as well, because it's definitely the weakest Tennant series. Thanks for an honest answer and not avoiding the question. That's alright. I've just been trying to not address it too much, because I don't want this stream to just become a bashing session of someone else. But at the same time, I feel like, because if you guys follow me on Twitter, you'll see some of the stuff that I tweet. It is important to address. I think Jodie's master is between Sim and Missy's master, because Missy said she didn't remember the regeneration. I think it was confirmed that it wasn't, though, because there was a whole like Big Finish thing about it. And to be honest, I'd rather it be chronological, if only because I think it makes the I think it makes it easier for, like, as I said, you know, novice fans or new fans to like understand. When you start having like masters in different orders, it just confuses things. Will you ever do any more commentary videos? As you said in your revamp video, that while returning to Doctor Who, the commentary would remain, although that hasn't happened. Fair enough, it hasn't. But to be honest, there just hasn't been that many things that I feel passionately about in regards to commentary. Like, when there is something, I'll definitely do it. Like, obviously, I did do that one video on Super Mario 3D All-Stars, because that was something I was actually passionate about. Thing is, like, some people can just do commentary videos on anyone, and then they'll be like, oh, this person said this. And, you know, they could get quite, you know, annoyed at them. Whereas, like, if I don't really care about a topic, I'm not going to talk about it, you know. But is Big Finish, like, official to the show? Kind of, but also we had it in the annual that the Jodie and Sasha Doctor / Master recognise Missy as an old face, with I think Jodie's Doctor even said something to the effect of in the annual, oh, I liked you better when you were her, something like that. You were good when you were her, something like that. When is your Doctor companion ranking video coming out? Whenever you finish editing it. No, I'm just kidding. Do you think Chips will leave after Series 13 or the 60th? My guess is the 60th. As I said, I think on Discord the other day, whether we get one series or two in between then, because obviously let's say that Series 13 airs late next year, so sort of autumn time, / early 2022, are they just going to wait then another year until the 60th to drop the 60th and then have Jodie regenerate, or are they going to do a series in 2021, early 2022 being Series 13, and then have maybe another series drop in 2023 in build-up to the 60th, and then have Jodie regenerate then? But I probably think the 60th, mainly because I think like there's been talks of her having a contract extension. HBO Max have like got series, China's got series like, you know, paid for. So I think Jodie will be with us and Chibnall will be with us for the foreseeable future. I prefer my Masters to be mental rather than just a typical villain. I agree. Here's the thing about the Master. I'm thinking about making a whole video on this. I feel like the show's almost like past the need for the Master, because like with the modern show, we've had a lot more opportunities to explore the darker sides of the Doctor's character, and that was kind of what the Master was designed to do. But now that you can do that, you know, just by examining the character himself / herself, I don't really feel like there's much of a need for the Master anymore. But that's just my opinion. Like, but in terms of Masters, I do quite enjoy Sacha Dhawan's one. I will say that. Would be cool if the 60th was a multi-part story. That'd be interesting. If they expand it across a whole series, that'd be different. What's your favourite part of history? Ooh, very different question. I always liked the Tudors as a kid. Horrible Histories was part of the reason, probably. I always like, you know, I thought like that whole period, like Henry VIII, was like really interesting. Obviously, you know, World War II is always interesting. So those two probably. Hi, I think Eccleston's great. I think he will come back for the 60th anniversary. If Jodie is still the Doctor, my favourite Doctor from the classic series is Doc 5. Ooh, that's a different opinion. Like, a lot of people, I think 5's gone down in some people's estimations recently, but that's fair enough. I think you're doing a brilliant job. Thank you. I really appreciate that. That means a lot. But yeah, what was the other thing we talked about? 60th anniversary, that's what we were talking about. I think it'd be cool as well if they made it a multi-master story. Because obviously I know that we've had that once in the Moffat era, but I mean, imagine if they got Sacha Dhawan, Michelle Gomez, John Sim, maybe Eric Roberts as well, as like a classic Who representative facing off against 8, probably not 9, 10, 11, 12 and 13. That would be a really cool idea for a 60th. For me, the Doctor's personal connection between the Doctor and the Master is what makes him stand out from other villains, even if his characterization over the years hasn't been too unique. Yeah, that makes sense. I guess the Master was kind of just conceived as kind of like a Bond-type villain, where it's like the Doctor, but evil. And like now I think that is quite a basic character in the end when you boil it down. Whereas, like, the Doctor, him / herself, has become a lot more nuanced since then. So I feel as though, yeah, it's an interesting topic. If I was the showrunner, personally, I'd probably let the Master just, you know, die and, like, not bring him back. Because I just sort of feel as though you've kind of done all you could do with, you know, the Master at this point, in my opinion. But, you know, I mean, if people can find a unique way of bringing more life to that character, I'd be more than willing to hear what it is. I just, you know, myself can't really think of anything that you could do to really make that character worthwhile. I think a cool way of sort of replacing that would to be to have a companion turn against the Doctor and have that act as the sort of foil. I think that would be a sort of interesting idea that they haven't really done before. So, yeah, that would be a sort of a little idea I have personally. If you see a little bright light, just know that it's me flipping between tabs to make sure I'm not missing anything in terms of like the chat or anything like that. But yeah, hopefully it's not too... But as I said, in the new year, one of the new bits of equipment I'm going to be getting is studio lights. So like my lighting should be a lot better. Do you think the Doctor knows that Missy turned her past self? Ooh, it's gone. I think James Bond and the Doctor should team up. It would definitely be interesting. I'm not a big James Bond fan. I've watched a couple. Obviously, I think Goldfinger's probably my favourite. As long as they didn't make it too gimmicky, I'd be down for it. IDK, why don't they bring back the Rani to mix things up? Yeah, I mean, again, like, with the Rani as well, she is just sort of cackling evil lady. So again, I'd want them to do something different with the Rani if they were to bring her back, rather than just, it's the Doctor, but the evil, you know? So it's like, as long as they could do something unique, I think that's fine. I'd love to see more Davros stories. The Doctor's relationship with him explored in depth, as after recently listening to the Big Finish story, Davros again, it's a very interesting topic. I agree, Davros is great. That's one of the few Big Finishes I've actually listened to. Davros is fantastic. It just proves that you can tell a good Davros story without the Daleks needing to be present. Do you think Chibs will expand on the Times Children, Dr. Ruth in Series 13 or beyond? I feel like they're going to have to mention it. Apparently Chibnall does have a 5-year plan, so I think it'll be interesting to see like where that actually goes. If I had to guess what they'll do with it, there might be some twists that we can't even expect yet. Like, that's the thing, because this special's meant to end on a huge cliffhanger, so it might change. The whole Timeless Child thing could very easily change very quickly. So I think it's difficult to judge it in its current stage. As for Dr. Ruth's an interesting one because she was kind of a last-minute addition from what I've heard. So whether there's a plan for her or not, I don't know, but I definitely think they'd be stupid not to include her because she's kind of like very popular with the fans. Like, a lot of people were cosplaying her when Fugitive of the Dune came out, so I feel as though they should be they should capitalize on that. But yeah, so I think they would definitely bring back Dr. Ruth, or the Ruth Doctor, however you want to say it, in Series 13. I think that's my prediction. The Times Children, it's tough. I mean, it might just be that they mention it in passing and then just sort of move on. But who knows? What other Big Finish stories have you listened to? Okay, so Davros is one. I'm trying to remember. Out of Time, the 10th Doctor, 4th Doctor crossover. Listen to that. What else have I listened to? Daughter of the Gods, the 1st Doctor, 2nd Doctor crossover with Peter Purvis and Fraser Hines, that's the one, voicing the 2nd Doctor. That was good. A lot of the crossover ones, to be fair. What else? Regeneration Impossible, another crossover with 11 and 12, voiced by Jacob Dudman. So yeah, there you go. All throughout those 5 years, it will get better, keep watching. I mean, yeah, true. Have you read Lungbarrow? No, but I kind of know the basic arc of Lungbarrow. I want to do... Thing is, I want to read all the Virgin New Adventures, but like they're so expensive that I don't know how I would go about reading them. And I also think that like it'd be fun to do a video comparing the Timeless Child arc to the Karma Master Plan, like actually comparing them, because a lot of people say that the Timeless Child arc is similar to the Karma Master Plan, but not a lot of people. Not a lot of people really, you know, say why it's similar. So I think doing a video comparing the two directly would be interesting. I've only listened to Spare Parts and Jubilee, which you should really listen to. I started listening to Spare Parts. I got a bit bored, to be honest, but I mean, I do need to finish that one. And as for Jubilee, I've already sort of watched the same story in Dalek, so I mean, I've not really had much of a desire to go and listen to that one. Hi Tharis, it's Michael here. I've been thinking whether or not the New Year's Day special will also include older Daleks. Yeah, so here's my thing. The ship that we see in the Revolution of the Daleks trailer, I think is the ship of the RTD Daleks, because it looks so similar that it can't not be. So yeah, we'll definitely see them in the special. I'm calling that now. And plus they were literally on the set. So we'll definitely see the RTD ones. As for any other design, I doubt it. Because I think Chibnall likes to keep things relatively cut back and sort of not include too many like designs from the classic show. Because like Moffat used to love bringing back like, you know, special weapons Daleks and 60s Daleks and Mordacian Cybermen just because, you know, for the fun of it. But like, yeah, I definitely think the Time War ones will be in it. And like that's definitely that's pretty much confirmed. How do you think Graham and Ryan will leave? I think here's how I want it. Like I can't really make a prediction because it could go a number of ways. Here's what I would like to happen. I would like Ryan to die, and then Graham feel guilty, and then he goes back home because the guilt of the death of because when Ryan died to the Daleks, being in the TARDIS and being reminded of all those adventures is too familiar, so kind of like the reversal of what happened in Series 11. That's what I'd like. Josh just said death. Fair enough. Jake Gyllenhaal was seen on the set of Spider-Man 3. Oh, that's interesting. We're going to get Mysterio back. I definitely think they're going to go for a Sinister Six type thing. Because Sony has wanted a Sinister Six film for the longest time, so I feel as though that's pretty much inevitable at this point. Ryan would die and deliver useless exposition before dying. Graham dies from oh no. And I've noticed that in the trailer and photos of the Dalek drones, they have used the 80s version of the Dalek gun sound rather than the zapping. Yeah, that is weird because they did it in Resolution as well. If you listen to that one, it is the Remembrance sound. I call it the Remembrance sound. It's probably in others, but like, you know, I call it the Remembrance sound. More like Spider-Verse Endgame. Yeah, that's pretty much what it is called, Spider-Man 3. I mean, here's the thing about Spider-Man 3. I'm excited for it, but I'm also nervous because I'm worried that they're going to do the same thing that they did with Amazing Spider-Man 2 and Spider-Man 3, where they, you know, put a bit too much into it, and then it's just a bit of a mess. I think the Doctor Who multiverse, as described in Spyfall Part 1, Part 2, might be explored in Series 13 onwards, and the Gallifrey that we saw could be part of that. I think that could definitely be interesting, because like a lot of people have hypothesized that the entirety of the era could take place in a parallel universe, which explains why no one knows what a Dalek is, and stuff like that, which would be interesting. Do you think Jodie will be in Series 14? Again, it really depends on how many series they can fit between now and the 60th. If they fit 2 in, then yes. If they fit 1 in, then no. It just depends on how many series they can pump out between now and then. Regeneration is coming this season. No, it's not. Yeah, I don't know. A lot of people keep saying it is. It's not. We've literally seen Jodie filming for Series 13. She's not going anywhere. Yeah. So yeah, no, I'm afraid not. I mean, you might get like the most we could probably get in that department would be like a fake out type thing, in the same vein as the Journey's End regeneration when 10 regenerates into 10, something like that, but not a proper full on regeneration. The only other way a regeneration type thing could happen as well would be if, like, say, she sort of holds back her regeneration energy, and then throughout Series 13, she's, like, holding it back, but I doubt they're going to do that. Is it true? I did see on Facebook that apparently it will include a reference to the pandemic. No, it won't, because Chibnall said in a magazine, I think, that it will not feature any references. The special will not feature any references to the pandemic. I hope Jodie is in it to the 60th anniversary at least. Fair enough. Will we get an Orphan 56? I hope not. This year would be bad for regeneration anyways, with everything going on in the world and the struggles with production. Yeah, I kind of agree. I think that having a stable production team in these trying times, even if it's a production team I'm not a big fan of, is kind of the best course of action for the time being. Execute Orphan 56. I like that. I hope the next season doesn't include the virus. There probably will be a reference to it in Series 13. I'd be very surprised if there wasn't. But not in Revolution, at least. Well, she could heal the pandemic. I'm not going to say the name of the pandemic in case I get demonetized. With regeneration. True. She could. I mean, I doubt it, but I mean, if they wanted to do like a not parting of the ways, Empty Child Doctor Dances thing where like the Doctor heals it with like, you know, magic things, then like maybe, or like Magician's Apprentice when like, you know, when the 12th Doctor feeds some of his regeneration energy into like the Daleks, and then it like makes them regenerate. That story is weird. You can count on a reference to it in Series 13. Yeah, probably. Nanogenes, that's the one. Nanogenes are alright. I just mean the I think the series 1 was the one that was confusing. The Series 9 one was confusing to me, where he's like holding those wires in Davros's like sanctum, and they all start glowing with regeneration energy. That's weird. How will the Doctor get more regenerations? Because the Doctor, at their 13th regeneration, and the Doctor gets more of the Time Lords. The Time Lords are dead. Okay, so in the Time of the Doctor, it's implied that the Doctor is given a new cycle of regenerations. So Capaldi was the first of the new cycle. Whittaker is the second of the new cycle. With the Timeless Child thing, I'm not sure whether it makes it unlimited, so maybe that's not even an issue anymore. But let's say it's not. Let's say it still is, then we've at least got another, like, 12 Doctors, I think. No, I think it might be in bad taste if the Doc... Yeah, I probably agree with that. Yeah, it would be in bad taste if they did that. I think that was just a joke, to be honest, though. A lot of people have suggested that she fixes it, because yeah, that would be. I think that would be in poor taste, to be fair. But yeah. What was the other thing we were going to talk about? Yeah, so Revolution we've kind of covered quite a bit. I mean, Jack Robertson, that was kind of a character I wasn't expecting to come back, especially not after Arachnids in the UK's badness. But I mean, look, he could be good. Like, he seems to fit this story a bit better than like that one. You know, having the US president, or what I assume is now the US president in the Doctor universe, invest in these defense drones. I think that's quite an interesting plot line. Something different, at least. Well, this is a good question. From HT7. Are you a fan of the solo episode format, or do you prefer the comeback of two-parters mid-season and a big overarching theme such as the Pandorica? I think I'd like a more serialized approach, where there is, like, you know, an arc that you follow from episode to episode. Because a lot of the shows that I've been watching recently, they are just sort of one big plot arc that you follow, and obviously there's a lot of little things that surround that and feed into the main narrative, rather than incidental things that don't really feed into the main narrative, like what Doctor Who does, where it's like, oh, we've got this big arc about the Timeless Child, but we're just going to go on an adventure with Nikola Tesla that has no relation, which is fine. I'm not saying that's a bad way of doing it, by the way, but personally, I think I would prefer it to all be connected to the main arc, if that makes sense. But that's just me. If you're going to do an arc, have it all be connected. If you're not going to do an arc, just have it all be separate. That's probably how I would do it. Jack Robertson coming back goes to show how episode Chibble is, if you ask me. I mean, yeah, but like, but at that point you'd have to say that RTD is up his own arse because he brought back, you know, like Alfonso from like the Titanic and stuff. So like, I don't think bringing back characters from previous episodes is inherently a bad thing, to be honest. In fact, I'd rather it be episodes that he's made rather than ones he hasn't. I think Doctor Who is underrepresented people who have hidden disabilities and people who are in wheelchairs. I agree. When people say that Doctor Who is too politically correct, I'm just like, okay then, well where's my over-representation then, because I haven't seen it. Like, Alonso, sorry, I don't know why I said Alfonso. I think someone in a video once just said Alfonso and it's kind of stuck in my head as Alfonso. But yeah, I do agree, there needs to be more representation of disabilities, for sure. It's not that funny, Willox, you know, it's only an F that's different, you know, it's not that different, it's basically the same. But yeah, you know, it's just one of them things. Do you expect any substantial character development for 13 in the next series? I really hope there is. I really feel like the Doctor needs a big change. A lot of the theories is that she'll get darker, but like, the implication at the end of Timeless Children is that she's stronger and more powerful than she ever was before, so why would she be sad? Then again, in Revolution of the Daleks, from what little we've seen of it, she looks very sad in the prison, so that could be the beginning of her becoming darker, which I would like. So yeah, I do hope that she does get some substantial development. Was he though, Willox? He literally was just a ship guy who just sort of came back. I think 14 should have a disability. I wouldn't put it on the Doctor, if only because I wouldn't want that to be everyone's first impression of the Doctor. In that, like, I wouldn't want the first disabled Doctor to be known as the disabled Doctor, if that makes sense. Because I feel as though I think I wouldn't make it too obvious to start with, but as time goes on, it becomes more obvious that perhaps he has like a mental health issue, or you know, he's sort of has mental difficulties. I think that would be a good thing to do, that you could just slowly sort of hint at over time, rather than it being super obvious and made a big deal of. I think I'd rather it just be something that's done subtly, but it'd be an interesting approach. Yeah, the Alonso ship dude from the Titanic. Yeah, my point was, you can't really say that bringing back Jack Robertson is egotistical when, you know, RTD brought back people like Alonso. I almost did it again. You know, so it's one of those things. Oh my god, we've almost been going for an hour and a half. I've only just looked at that. Probably going to wrap up in a little bit, but I've really enjoyed just talking to you guys. I feel like I need to do these more. So that'll be another thing. Another New Year's resolution of sorts would be to like do more sort of streamy bits like this. Wait, who's coming back? I'm a bit late. Jack Robertson, the Trump guy from Arachnids in the UK, is coming back in Revolution of the Daleks. It was in the trailer for that episode. Second 10-hour live stream. Oh, not today. I don't think I've got that in me today. Representation is a tough one because on the BBC, because people will complain either way. True. Like what I said before, I think politics shouldn't be prioritized over the story. If the character if the writer wants a political message, then they should weave it into a well-written plot. That's fair enough. I think he's basically going to be the president in the story who wants these new Daleks to be the defense drones, you know, and sort of replace the government. That's not the government, the military. That's my guess. Just going from what we got in the trailer. But yeah, I do agree with you, Willocks, that if you can do political stuff, that it should be woven well into the story. I think my somewhat controversial opinion on all the politics stuff is that, like, it's not, series 11 and 12 isn't even that political. It's just that it's marketed as such, and it's basically all just surface level and done, you know, so they can say that they're like really progressive, but realistically taking the most, you know, safe steps possible. Really, like, I kind of said this in the Verdana podcast, but like, it kind of reminds me of, if any of you seen The Boys, there's a marketing campaign in that called Girls Get It Done within the narrative of the show, which is essentially, you know, basically making fun of companies that like promote female empowerment, but they don't actually believe in it. They just do it for the marketing reasons. And I kind of think that's like what the series 11 and 12 politics is, where it's more marketing than it is anything else. If the Doctor regenerates and can't walk, then they just fall onto the ground and start crawling out of the TARDIS, because I don't think the Doctor prepares for what the next body will be like. True. I mean, I've never really thought how they would actually do that. As much as I've championed, obviously, disabled, you know, actors in Doctor Who, like, how would they actually? Because they've sort of woven into the narrative that, like, regeneration kind of fixes all body parts. So the only way I could think they could do it was to have something go wrong in the regeneration, and that's why. Because otherwise it wouldn't make a ton of sense, but... why did he stop regenerating on the floor? I don't know. I almost thought we were going to get it with Capaldi, because there's like that bit, isn't there, where he's like clinging onto the console, and he like drops to the ground, and he's like, children can hear it if their minds are in the right place, and the stars are too, and all that. So yeah, I feel like we need a floor regeneration again. You know, it gets kind of boring seeing every year they get in their stance, so they go, psh, you know, like every year, every regeneration, they all go psh, like that. So it'd be cool to see a different one, for sure. I enjoy the regeneration, don't get me wrong, but I think it would be nice to see some variety. Blowing up a TARDIS does look cooler. I think that was kind of the reason that Moffat did it. It just looked cool, and it added some spectacle to 11th Hour that, like, they've just sort of kept in since, you know. I want to see the Doctor fly like Iron Man. That'd be interesting. I liked Matt's wacky... I like... oh yeah, Matt's thing where he's like blowing up the Dalek ships is cool. That's cool. I also kind of liked with Smith's one, they sort of do... they sort of do a like... a thing where it's like... hang on a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Mother Tharies is very no, I'm joking. You know, it's just one of those things that is out of my control, you know. Yes, that was. I don't know how much that you actually saw, but you know what? I'm gonna embrace it as a bit now. So with that, wait, is it working now? Yes, it is. All right. With that, thank you all for tuning in, Mother Tharies, Mothies, as we say. You know, like it's just it's quite funny really in the end. It's just that obviously like I'm still right next to the kitchen, but comes February that ain't gonna be an issue, boys. We're men now. But yeah, thank you all for tuning in. It's been wonderful, and thank you again for getting me over to my goal of 3,000 subscribers. It's meant a lot. Thank you all for tuning in, and I will see you later. If it lets me end it.